I hope everybody's having a good day. It is about that time again for another How Strong video, guys. Another mutant. Yes, I love mutants. Don't judge me. You might notice this guy Cable from the Deadpool movies. I will be analyzing how strong is Cable today in the comic book lore. Are you ready? Let's get it. But before I go any farther, let me get this out the way. I got to give a special shout out to those that have donated to the channel. Thank you a lot. You might have noticed that he uses a lot of guns and stuff, but you know the funny part is his mutant ability is actually telekinesis. He's a very strong telekinetic being. But the thing is, he's always nerfed. He has very inconsistent health and things of that sort because of this techno-organic virus. They call it the TO virus. But even then, he still has impressive feats, as you're going to see in this video. Pause the video if you have to read the lore on Cable. He is Nathan Summers. Oh yeah, the Summers name might sound familiar because he is the son of Scott Summers and a clone of Jean Grey. Mr. Sinister always up to some deviant ways. He's the very reason for this Jean Grey clone in the first place. It was his plan to produce a powerful mutant child, so he would end up turning on Apocalypse. You know what I'm saying? You know, people always turn on each other, right? Apocalypse is so savage. He over there infecting babies with viruses. He's the one that's responsible for this techno-organic virus in the first place. They end up saving him, but they cannot save him from the virus. Their only option was to send him to the future. There's like this certain tribe in the future that could save him. X-Men stories, blah, 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 blah. The stuff was unsuccessful to save the timeline, so he returned to the normal timeline and mentored the new mutants and stuff like that, doing a lot of X-Men's type stuff. Some would call Hope Summers the mutant messiah. This is where Cable and Bishop be clashing and stuff like that. You know, I got a Bishop video you might want to check out. Took her from the future, back to the past, stuff like that. Yeah, Cable has mutant physiology, but he's weakened by the TO virus, but he's still a beast, and he still has some psionic abilities. The psionic abilities is always fighting the T virus, which is keeping his powers in flux and not really being able to really focus its true potential because it's busy fighting the virus, if that makes any sense, right? He has telekinesis and telepathy. So basically Jean Grey's abilities, you know what I'm saying? That makes sense, right? He has decades of training in weapon systems, tactics, technology, and a lot of different things. Of course, he's a skilled fighter in Marvel, having absurd combat speed up there with the super soldier tiers, even physically without even amping himself with telekinetic powers and psionic energy and stuff like that, right? Started off thanks to his T-virus. He has cybernetic prosthetics that give him extra attributes that he might be lacking because of his psionic abilities, like enhanced strength, physical capabilities, stuff like that. The TO virus has its benefits. Like, it's good for hacking thanks to its techno-organic nature, if that makes any sense. It has its benefits. His arm is a beast, and he also uses it to like block attacks and things of that sort, right? Gots to love. Deadpool blocks and blocks. Yeah, he's always blocking it. His physiology is kind of complex. They state here, we don't know the full effects of the techno-organic virus on your body. As a child, I was taught to use my power to hold my body together. This is kind of crazy that his telekinesis is this complex. Even on a molecular level, it states here, in a way, it's a techno-organic, but not sentient. It states here, techno-organic, that would explain things, but this new data indicates it can reconfigure its molecular arrangements. There's been several instances of him being able to reconfigure the molecular arrangements. Like, you see what I'm saying? You see how the arm does that? Just like liquefies itself back on, you know what I mean? Hard to distinguish whether is it sentient or not sentient, right? One says the virus is a bad thing, but it actually helps super strength the more it consumes them. Can even use the metal to evidently do this to Red Hulk, a Hulk level being. This particular occasion reminds me of the T-800, how the liquid metal, how it can just squish together and how it can just heal together here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just liquid metal-ish. At least that's the vibe I was getting, but what do you think? It is an annoying virus, but it also resists other like stuff, like diseases and things of that sort. His physiology has like little stuff, little finger fryer. No, I'm not playing. He can shoot like energy from his fingers with this arm, like a freaking blast, and can even shock with it. Electricity. By the way, he has a cybernetic eye. This allows him to have absurd combat speed, to be able to perceive speedsters thanks to the infrared bionic eye. He uses it to identify a piece of a bomb, can see miles away, can see in darkness, but don't get it twisted. The bad far outweighs the good this virus gives him. For example, TO virus can nearly kill him or kill him in the long run if unchecked. So yeah, what would he be like at his full potential though? Not to mention it's very painful and agonizing. This is a writer's way to make sure they nerf him, you know what I mean? If that make any sense. And be having Jean Grey having kids, because you know she powerful. If that makes any sense. We just getting started, baby. Let's get some scans on his combat knowledge, experience, skill, practice, and etc. By the time I was 14, I had gone into combat over 100 times. I had fought in the War of the East Veldt and been one of 10 to survive out of 10,000. It doesn't seem there was a day I didn't even know the heat of some kind of battle. So he's not all his power. Well, he can't really rely on it because of that technovirus holding him back anyway, so you gotta be skilled, right? The moral lore of Marvel, highly trained in survival, tracking, combat, and strategy. They actually put his name in the sentence with Captain America and Wolverine when it comes to fighting. A fighter, a crusader, a revolutionary, a man like me. Training here, fighting here, you know what I mean? Just combat skills overall. Just consistent. Literally very skilled in combat, shown in too many domino occasions. Skills. He has combat skills and everything, but boy, does he like his weapons. Talking about a freaking armory. Most of the time he's portrayed to have like absurdly large guns. Guns that are unrealistically large. Not to mention he has other sidearms on top of it that he uses to put in even, hey, that's Deadpool, more work might I add. Always different guns, right? He has explosives, knives, all the 9 yards. He has a utility belt like all Beast Men do. Just a whole bunch of sensory equipment, hacking equipment. You see what I'm saying? See how his arm is? He has to be super strong to be able to hold all this stuff on his back. Without even getting into his powers or physicals, how strong are the actual weapons he used? Well, let me just say these guns aren't just your standard guns. These weapons have shown to be able to harm top tier beings without even having to use his powers. He has to have tech like this because he can't rely on his telekinesis and telepathy, right? Makes sense. For example, his guns have different type of settings, for example. States here, I'm turning my rifle into electromagnetic pulse grenade. Just different modes he can use. You see what I'm saying? He can just change it to different settings. Not to mention his cybernetic arm can fire rockets like I showed earlier. No, literally has a belt of explosives that strive for evil version of him. I'm gonna get to him probably later. Oh, by the way, you know Hulk? One of the characters I love, his gun can be a big aggravation to Hulk's beings that are usually bulletproof, so I'm pretty sure these are way stronger than average bullets. There's been too many occasions of these guns being able to put in serious major work. You know what I'm saying? War Machine don't just eat his attacks. With his guns, this is just ridiculous. Does that to a tank, does all of this commotion. Okay guys, you get the point. Blast, blast, blast. He even has a hexy ion molecular blade. It's like an ionic knife. He was doing this against this guy known as Mark Strong. It states here, when dealing with someone whose skin is impervious to all but adamantium. So evidently this ionic molecular blade is comparable to adamantium because look what it did to him. Ouch. This is the same guy that took an attack from Siren and Cannonball easily. So Cable said, nah, I'm cutting you, bro, with this ionic knife. Wouldn't necessarily call it standard gear, but he was able to take out Iron Man by using Future Stark tech, you know what I mean? Using his tech with his techno-organic stuff, being like a fusion upgraded version, battle feat for him here, if that makes any freaking sense. It was a nice one-on-one though. Sneak attack, like I said, it's not as necessarily standard gear, but a time freeze grenade just freeze time. As far against characters like the Blob, and even moves him, might I add, and he's supposed to be immovable. There was this being that was working for Apocalypse. He was able to stab it through the head. Keep note that this same being is able to take attacks from Thor, so it's pretty freaking durable. There's times where he has temporary powers for certain stories and then gets rid of it, and he don't have it no more, but in this particular occasion, Cable was able to use gravimetric shields thanks to replacing his telepathy with access to the infonet, and his telekinesis was replaced by gravimetric shields. Yeah, he was kind of looking epic right in this occasion. During this temporary time with the infonet, man, he had a lot of different knowledge. Kind of reminded me of Cyborg in this occasion. He was able to shield people from something that Deadpool compared to a nuclear explosion, shielding him in the process. This is what I was talking about earlier. It states, Cable lost his telekinetic powers. He created a mechanical substitute for them. His gravimetric sheath is a force field around his body that he can manipulate to simulate his telekinesis. Kind of like Invisible Woman right here, you know what I mean? But enough of that stuff. He didn't actually keep that. Back to his standard self. What about his strength? Just physicals. No telekinesis or nothing. He can snap the neck of 2 men simultaneously, light work. Does this to a couple brute aliens with physicals and smash their head against the wall. Epic. I feel like physically he's at least in the super soldier tier. Wolverine, like this time he hit Wolverine to the wall. I mean, look what he does to armed guards and then ditting their head into the wall, might I add. He was able to puncture his hands into rock, strong enough to destroy, rip it into him, ripping him apart in the process. He's freaking strong physically, yeah. More proof of him being in that super soldier tier. He even threw Captain America's shield in a fight with Captain America, of course, into the wall so hard Captain America struggles to move it. In this occasion, yeah, it was that hard. Dang, Captain America, he might actually be physically stronger. He's at least comparable, right? Lowballing. Knocked him out in this occasion. He's physically strong enough to hang his ground against characters like Omega Red, Slugfest style, might I add. Even War Machine in a physical fight, he can hang in there with beings like that. consistently. He's freaking strong for sure. He's consistently punching through metal, stuff of that sort, breaking metal wires, just generally showing concrete walls consistently throughout. Comic book lore, he can hit that hard. Does that, you see what I'm saying? Kicks. There's just too many occasions of it. I mean, he's always lifting hundreds of pounds without like no issues, right? Big old guns like this gotta weigh a lot, right? I mean, think about that for just 2 seconds. I'm not sure if I would say his physical strength is on the level of Luke Cage, but hey, he's at least able to do this with his physical strength, no telekinetic enhancements or nothing, I would say, right? I mean, look how hard he went crashing into the thing, you know what I mean? There was this metahuman that bent this exercise bar and Cable bends it back. He picks up this detached metal door working with Domino. I mean, heck, he can lift all this machinery up. Like, really though? There was like this immortal Neanderthal that hasn't lost an arm wrestle. Cable has arm wrestled him, showing that he ain't no freaking weakling and can pull apart shackles despite not being able to use his metal arm at the time. Now, there is some stuff he just can't break, like this omnium steel door. So yeah, that's why I say he's just in the super soldier tiers. Just being a standard super soldier tier in the verse when it comes to physicals, just in raw speed, no telekinesis and stuff like that, he should have microsecond reaction time like other super soldier tiers, like just dancing around this room. For example, he's on the ground with his back turned. He's still able to disarm his attacker, might I add. He's able to avoid gunfire. Speed. It's a tier. He moves like lightning. I don't even think that's that's the funny part about Marvel super soldier tiers, physicals, is that I don't even think this is an exaggeration based on their feats of reaction time. He stays tier even without powers faster than I could have imagined. He doesn't need powers, like I said before, to be real fast in Marvel. I say this in all my videos when it comes to super soldier tiers. I got proof of it in my Daredevil vid, Captain America vid, and all that stuff. So check those out when it comes to Marvel characters, when it comes to their reaction speed and stuff. I mean, he's taking out people in surprise attacks, you know what I'm saying? When you do bring his telekinesis into play, he rarely ever does this though. He can like activate it really fast before the bullet can reach him, being able to react to bullets using his telekinesis or block it with it, right? That's freaking epic. Might I add, this is like exclusive to this issue though. This one fight against Bishop. Cable is so quick that even characters like War Machine could barely see Cable move. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Let's draw. And Cable draws faster than they can react, even though they got the jump on them. Pop, 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 pop. So there's this like quote unquote lightning speed commando. He was able to react to this quote unquote lightning speed commando. You know what I'm saying? That's epic. Arrow gets shot to Cable's back, slices it out the air, reaction time. He shielded Hope from bullets this one time, reaction. Characters like Domino imply to be a little bit more nimble and quicker though. But yeah, Domino is one of those characters that's in the super soldier tier as well. So this isn't really an embarrassing showing. There's so much to go over with Cable. All this time and I haven't even went over his telekinesis and stuff. Well, there's this time he catched Hulk in midair and slammed him into the street. Telekinesis. He can use telekinesis for his punches and stuff. So that's why you might actually see him punch from here and there. Apocalypse in this occasion. It's a pure example of these big old monsters he pick up with his telekinesis. Does this to this large cyborg and even threatens to crush it with telekinesis. The way they edit his fist lighting up reminds me of Iron Fist punches. Just amp his fist with telekinesis. It's almost like his physicals don't even matter. He can even shoot his telekinetic blast kind of like rapid fire. He's pretty creative with his telekinesis, like pulling pipes from the ground and entangle people. This is why I love telekinesis, man. I love it when they actually use that telekinesis the right way, like using the foe's weapon against them, destroy the weapon, entangle them with the weapon, or just use the weapons against them. I absolutely love when psionic and telekinetic people do these type of things. You might as well not even use a weapon against a telekinetic being that's creative like this. Psionic beings always reminds me of Invisible Woman because they can use their telekinetic power for force fields, for example, like shielding them from this explosion, Hope Summers. Telekinetically blocks gunfire, explosives, and a lot of different things on plenty and multiple occasions. Deadpool, Nope, Block, Nope Gambit, Battlefield, everywhere you can see, redirecting them, shielding themselves, tossing them back. Just a lot of different ways you can attack and even counterattack. He shielded himself from X-Man's psionic blast. Let's not get on Nate Gray, so that's impressive feat. You know what I mean? If he was always at his full potential, man, he would be able to do this more often, like levitating or maybe even flying. Thank you, Technovirus, for holding him back, holding back his psionic abilities. You know what I mean? Not fair. By the way, if you're wondering why this gun looks so amped up, it was a gun made to erase your temporal existence, and he was able to shield himself from that with his psionic abilities. Are you kidding me? Seems like a one-off thing. Manipulate time to avoid an attack in this particular occasion. Stepping in between the moment. Never tried that before. This is not even full potential, right? But he was able to shield himself from Colossus' punch. Guys, I have a video about Colossus. Don't sleep on him. He's stronger than you think. This is impressive as heck, especially since he's nerfed right here. You know what I mean? He states here, that punch would have killed me. From time to time, he decides to do some impaling with some telekinetic, with the tree, you know, stuff like that. There was this guy that was trying to access his network. He prevented him, telekinesis. Let's get to some more fun stuff. Telepathy. Cable actually can travel to the astral plane, in this case with Apocalypse. One of the occasions where you can see the virus kind of amp up and stuff and things. Having powers like telepathy help you to be able to instantly learn stuff, like just learning English on the spot because of mind reading. He can even gather intel from an enemy in a very fast amount of time, split second to be precise. He can psychically link to characters, like psychically link to Cyclops, tells him what to do in the occasion to ricochet his blast. Thanks to his abilities, he can kind of predict your next move, just like he can read your mind, right? My telepathy lets me anticipate your every move. He can make you drop your force field if you got a force field up, because why not? Because I got telepathic abilities, and knock you out. Even does something similar to Colossus. He says, it's time that you learn, Peter. We're all human beings. Burst of telekinetics coupled with a telepathic nudge. He can beat people that are way stronger than him physically. I would say Colossus is way stronger than him physically. Does this to members of the Avengers. He can make people basically see illusions of stuff that's not really happening, thanks to him being able to go inside your head and just confuse you of that sort. Because after all, if your mind believes it, it happens for all you know. It's kind of like how our dreams, we think we really are in our dreams, even if they make totally no sense. He can basically render himself invisible because he can just convince everybody in their head that he's not really there, here to dress different as well, or look completely different than what he really looks like, thanks to this camouflaging. He's done it on literally too many occasions. There was this Heroes Reborn version of MODOK. He actually got in a psychic battle with MODOK himself. I got a video on him. Telepathic struggle. Get knocked out, boy. He projects this big old monster to scare these folk. He's a good guy to have on your team, because if you're being affected by some type of mind control, he pretty much can release you or free you from that type said mind control. Like the time he telepathically restored Nate Gray's mind. First of all, the Hulk is even hard to get inside his head, but Cable was able to break the telepathic hold from Onslaught to the Hulk, freeing the Hulk in the process. He's able to block Jean Grey's and Professor X's telepathic probe. It's even hard to locate him even for other telepaths like Emma Frost. He blocked her from being able to track him. He's even able to keep people hidden from Apocalypse, might I add. You see when like his arm starts going berserk, you can see like his techno power like really starting to take over. This is one of the reasons why he's nerfed, like I said before. Telekinesis abilities and stuff is used to keep it at bay, keep it from going crazy, which is why people think it's sentient. Proficient with almost every known weapon created. I showed part of this earlier, but didn't mention that. He defeats a group of hunters that have evidently never ever lost. I showed this earlier. Fights all these warriors with raw skills, and they have future tech, might I add. But this large amount of group, he's still able to fight them. Keep in mind, he's not spamming telekinetic abilities. With one arm, I showed a part of this earlier, how his arm and stuff, and how he was able to react and stuff. I'm gonna show the full panel here. For this many, he's got skills with one arm. Like that, and like that. Block, react, deflects arrows, cuts the arrow in half, gets a weapon, continues to fight, and cleans house. He states, I know every conceivable counterattack to swarm a scenario. Without my power, it's the only advantage I've got. Doesn't need powers to be an extremely skilled fighter. He was able to hold off Lady Deathstrike while protecting the baby Hope, reacting to Wolverine, catching Wolverine's attack, a being that's super quick, Bishop as well. And illusions will not help you against Cable because he's still able to identify which one's the real you through an illusion, direct. I shouldn't have to convince you of his fighting skills, but people really be thinking people with superpowers don't have any type of skills. For example, during combat, he uses his strategies and skills to his advantage, finding weak spots on armor and stuff like that. Finding every loophole he can to get the advantage or jump on someone. You even got lore on it. Characters like Domino, expected when it comes to his gun skills. I mean, the guy gunned down people that was protected by cover. People have the jump on Cable, but it doesn't ever seem to freaking matter. Guns them down anyway in the process. This is a showing of combat speed, skill, and etc. To just snipe the weapon out of your hand if he doesn't want to kill you directly. Does overhead gunshots. People can put him in telekinetic holds, but there's times he can break their psionic abilities with his own, and agility on top of it. He's not like a snail when it comes to speed in comparison to Gambit, but it does seem like there's certain people he struggles to hit, like him and Domino, for example, Gambit and Domino. Like in this occasion here, seems like he struggles to really outmaneuver her like I showed earlier. Same thing with characters like Nightcrawler. Like I said, he's not a snail, he's close enough, right? He has some pretty good stamina, he can fight for hours. When it comes to his intellect, he's actually quite smart. He's technically a genius that can repair technology, hack, if need be, and all that type of versatile stuff. Researches for cures. Pretty good with freaking prep. Took down Captain America and Falcon in this occasion. For example, I showed this a little bit of it earlier, but I'm showing it again, the full extent of it in this particular battle. Gets the drop on them, stuff like that. Fights it out. Boom, 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 boom. The W. With prep, I showed a little bit of this earlier, him fighting Iron Man. He does the same to Iron Man. Just wanted to show this in a little bit more detail. Had some tech, extra tech, and thing of that sort, using his own tech really to help him out. Kind of reminds me of Cyborg, how he can use somebody else's tech to his tech, techno-organic stuff to make him better, right? Probably one of his better feats. Even takes on Red Hulk, a Gamma member, who is a concrete black hole level being for sure, no doubt about that. But he did have help in the process. Get out of my head, he say. Shoots the guns on top of this, staggers them, blasts them away. Boom, looked like it was over. And this is where this happened. Got him in a chokehold. Then he does that. Techno seems to be taking over. Probably one of his better feats, epicness. Red Hulk is a concrete black hole level being, by the way. He has contingency plans, escape routes. There's a time Cable was versus the Zero Tolerance soldiers. Takes out this many because he's just that dang cool. Showed a little bit of this earlier from time to time. Yeah, it's a whole bunch. He be fighting mobs and waves, anti-mutant special forces. They took control of the X-Mansion, stuff like that. Released Caliban. In the process, programmed the Danger Room to help him escape, like strategy, tactics, awareness, etc. He even has a contingency plan for Red Skull, trying to take over his mind. He literally erased his own consciousness. It states here, you erased the AI in your cybernetic arm to make room for your mind, didn't you? Isn't that a contingency? Oh, by the way, Cable can teleport. He has a time machine, but for plot convenience, is always usually broken. Thank goodness that would kind of be broken for every story. Just go back in time and do it again, you know what I mean? Or it's limited in some other way, you know what I mean? Has been those times where he pursued a target through time. You know what I mean? 1543. And he even meets Captain America in 1943. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he has various type of cool looking vehicles. Travels to the past to kill Apocalypse. Might I add, with help of course, he's able to create cloning and memory logging tech to extend his life despite this little fatal virus. By the way, his AI in his arm has been different depending on the different stories, the artificial intelligence in his techno-organic arm, things of that sort. And it cannot be broken down or identified for study. This dude got gear for everything. This special suit made for acid, epic, right? Don't lie. That's freaking cool. Get an idea of his base of operations. Got his gear. This is where he operates, trains, sets up strategies, plans, and all the stuff. And this is Cable's base, the Gray Malkin in Earth's atmosphere. It's incredibly advanced. Don't freaking lie. You know what I'm saying? This is where he got his equipment, vehicle, stuff of that sort. It even has like a warp core that can send Cable through time and space. Ain't that OP? You're probably wondering, wait a minute. I know Cable has this virus and all, but there's times where it seems like he still can use his abilities, and sometimes he chooses not to and just fights with his bare hands. Why would he fight with his bare hands if you can just literally knock somebody out with your telepathy or something like that? That's actually a very good question. See, Marvel has a long continuity. Things get retconned, things get not retconned. There's this time where it was unknown to the audience why he wouldn't use his telekinetic powers and why they were so limited, but then they revealed it later, like in the 1990 comics with Cable appearing in. He pretty much almost never uses his power. X-Men even mentioned in this occasion, you might want to spend a little more time honing your own natural powers and a little less time depending on big guns. You know what I mean? Like, there was times where he would struggle lifting stuff that shouldn't even be that heavy based on how powerful he actually is at his full potential. Stuff like that. Oh, wait, did I mention full potential? In the Cable comics in the early 2000s, his powers kind of grew a little bit because the writers established that he was the son of Scott and Jean Grey clone, being at his peak, and then the bad stipulations of it. In 2003 to 2007, Cable achieved the highest possible level of power he's ever been at. But for the most part, everything I've covered in this video is basically, during the time where he didn't really show off his full potential, stuff like that. I might have showed you little glimpses of his full potential in this video so far, but this is the Cable that people call full potential Cable, or Omega Cable, or however you want to call it. How strong is he really when he's not limited by BS stuff? Step aside. Full potential Cable is able to do planetary telepathy. He's looking into everybody, they say. He's able to remove oxygen from the area, turning grape into a poison, evidently. His combat speed is actually light speed, and is one of his battles with this guy named Lightmaster. Probably gonna show this a little bit more later on. Don't sleep on Full Potential Cable. Bro, literally gets shot in the head, but survive. How is this telekinesis in this state? I don't even know how this is telekinesis anymore, but he turned the man into cave fungi? Luminance? Okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. Rewrites a man's DNA, turning him into a bat monster. What? Totally makes sense on why he was using guns before. He has this type of telepathy, full potential. He doesn't need to use the guns. Snap of his fingers disarms folks. Molecularly disintegrates guns. Telekinetic shielding and disarming. Blows Deadpool's brain out with telekinesis. He can do cheap stuff like battlefield removal, no matter where you look at it, even other countries. He blew up this warehouse, atomizing everyone in it. Y'all, let me just do cool stuff like blowing up a mountain, because why not, and teleports away. He can even vibrate atoms to heat metal. He can keep characters like Cyclops' beams at bay because of telekinesis. Oh yeah, he can just casually disassemble a house and the furniture within, just cool stuff. I don't want to go over too many of the other things he can do in his base or power fluctuation state, because a lot of the same stuff he can do telepathically and telekinetically in his other non-Omega Cable self, but just to a greater extent now that he's full potential here. Enough beating around the bush. Right? Okay, so we already confirmed that Cable has lowballed light speed reaction time in his full potential state, but how much raw power does he have in lore and writer intent is important for the characters. For Cable, what is his telekinetic blast power? You can get an idea of this based on statements that don't really contradict his new feats of power and the battle feats he gets with his full potential. It states here, you are strong enough to sense and stray a thought of a continent in a way. Telekinetically, you could extinguish a star with something less than a conscious effort. Star level confirmed, which would mean bare minimum. Cable could produce octillions of megatons of force as a low ball. I mean, that's literally, he could destroy the Earth 1,000,000 times over, like 1,000,000 times. Like, he could destroy something 1,000,000 times the size of Earth. You know what I'm saying? But that's not it. It's already confirmed that he can move planets out of orbit. He believes he's the world's most powerful telepath. It gets a little complicated, right? So this guy known as Nate Gray, right? One could say this is basically how strong Cable would be if he never had the technovirus in the first place, or just him always being at full potential. Or this could be a way to get a reading on what his actual full potential is if we can't really gauge it the right way. You're probably wondering why is this the case? Well, for one, he shares the same genetic history as Cable. He's an Omega level mutant. A lot of people consider this guy pretty much identical, other than one having the technovirus and one not having the technovirus. Nate Gray is the Age of Apocalypse counterpart of Nathan Christopher Summers, aka Cable. Gets a little confusing, right? I know. Their parentage isn't exactly identical, but it's about the same. Pretty much scale one to another, and I don't even want to get on what Nate Gray can do. That might be a separate video, but this guy's got some feats like crazy. Sinister created Nate Gray from the genes of Scott and Jean, like the real Jean evidently, and Cable is born to Scott and a clone of Jean, which is Madeline Pryor. You know what I mean? So it gets a little confusing, but just for a quick history lesson right fast, Nate Gray is basically an alternate reality version of Cable. One can say just slightly differences, just slight differences. You know what I mean? This is what Cable had to say about Nate Gray. He says his power is a 15 out of 10. You know what I mean? So what? He's looking at a version of him that he could possibly be when it comes to telepathy and just power. He's able to hurt black hole beings like Hulk, like actual really hurt him. I mean, Nate Gray's that same guy that gave Hulk armor that one time to fight a giant Thanos, you know what I mean? So just give you an idea of what this could possibly be, what Cable could be at his full potential, right? Could be an exaggeration, but they said the power rivals the Phoenix at an early age. He's got that much raw power. I'm pretty sure they're not talking about White Phoenix of the Crown though, but you get the point. I got a White Phoenix of the Crown video and Phoenix video in general too, by the way. And he can even hang in there with Franklin freaking Richards. And you telling me this is an alternate reality version of Cable? I'm done, right? On top of that, to prove he really is in that powerhouse ranges with Thor and the Hulk Herculean tier, at least that's lowballing. One could say he's even in the Franklin Richards tier, but you know, I don't want to reach too far, but hey, that is an alternate reality version of him. He has fought in too. Oh yeah, he has fought in him, by the way. Full potential Cable is able to hang in there with the alternate reality version of him, Nate Gray, in a one-on-one fight. Telepathic resistance, psionic battle, just all the 9 yards. So it's not like he's a flea in comparison. He's fought on more than one occasion. Why this panel I showed you a while ago, showing it again. They go in, fighting one another, slugfest style brawl, and it's real serious, might I add. And look, Guys. Further prove his power, Light Master already showed this to prove his light speed reactions, which is probably an understatement of the year because he's probably massively fast in light, like a lot of other super fast people in Marvel, like the Silver Surfer, full potential, fought the Silver Surfer to really prove his level, fights him in a fight. Not only that, he even broke Silver Surfer's board in the process in the battle to prove he really is that powerful with Silver Surfer. Level beings seem to have some matter manipulation in this fight. And that's right, he's even fought the Incredible Hulk before, one of the poster boy powerhouses, somebody I have a ton of respect for. And that's right, you guessed it, even slugs it out with Apocalypse, amping himself with telekinetic power, obviously. This is what he's capable of. Full potential. Apocalypse is debatably a black hole level being or even higher, depending on how you want to look at it with celestial tech. And yes, I have a video about Apocalypse, so you can get understanding of why this is impressive. So basically, nothing is really contradicting Full Potential Cable's powers. Star level confirmed here. Has weapons that can give Hulk some issues. This is what really puts the nail on the coffin, fighting evenly with Apocalypse himself. I shouldn't even have to say anymore after this. This is something I wouldn't consider a scuffle, but an actual all-out brawl war. You know what I mean? That's about going to do it, everybody. Cable, Full Potential is definitely in those black hole ranges or even higher, depending on how you look at it with Nate Gray and Franklin Richards scaling. It's a lot of different ways you can look at it when it comes to that. Even being nerfed, he's still pretty strong psionically, depending on certain comic issues. But when it comes to raw telekinetic blast power and even hacks on top of it, he's definitely a threat to be reckoned with. I would say definitely in those Thor or Herculean levels of raw power, lowballing him in his full potential, but highballing him off of assumptions, off of possibility he could possibly be in those Franklin Richards levels. But hey, who really freaking knows off those Nate Gray scalings? I might do a video about Nate Gray, but a lot of the Nate Gray scalings from this could possibly make him on this level as well, because Nate Gray got some stuff I haven't even shown in this video, but that's none of my business. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all think. How did you enjoy this feat run? Did you know Cable is this strong? I'm pretty about 100% sure you didn't know this, but I want to see you guys next time though.